it's export RINs or whatever, that diminish the RVO standard of where we are now. My goal is to grow it. I don't know, I honestly don't know. I'm meeting with your association president tomorrow. There's been a lot of conversation about RINs, RIN prices, and so forth. That's what the other side is bringing in as a problem. My goal is to get to the RVP waiver release and to the RVO minimum there of 15 and grow. So that's where we are, and I'm not willing to be educated about anything else.
What did Ted Cruz get?
Nothing. You know, there's a lot of rumor about decisions being made, and Senator Cruz and Senator Toomey made their case to the president about job degradation in the independent refuel refiners. That's something obviously the president has to listen to if it bears out that high RIN prices are contributing, irrespective. We're not talking about PES, that's a different financial situation on the East Coast, but we're talking about independent. The big oil guys are doing fine because they're generating the RINs. But I think, again, the president has a responsibility to listen, and he allowed Senator Grassley and Senator Ernst to make their case as well. He's invited the biofuels community, primarily the corn growers. Senator Grassley and Senator Ernst could invite those to the White House tomorrow. That's an unusual step to have the President of the United States say, come in, let's talk about this. Let's figure out solutions to this issue. I'm strong for the farmers. I'm committed to that and not going to back up from that. But as a president, I've got a responsibility to listen to all aspects of the American economy. That's what he's doing. Yes, sir.
Mr. Secretary, there were reports that you and, Jerry Hagstrom from the Hagstrom Report. There were reports that you and Mr. Pruitt went to the White House on Monday to come up with a joint plan that you could agree to. Did that happen? Did you come up with a joint plan? And secondly, Senator Roberts said yesterday they're not going to make any big changes to the SNAP program, which would seem to me that they're not going to do very much with the idea of the food boxes. Would you have a comment on that?
Sure. You want me to answer both questions?
I would appreciate it.
Got a twofer in there, y'all.
Yeah, I did.
There were no proposals made to the president yesterday. He was in a listening mode. He allowed both the Senator Cruz, Senator Toomey to make their case. He allowed Senator Grassley, Senator Ernst to make their case. Frankly, listened extremely patiently, asked the right questions as a business person would, who's president, and allowed them to make a case. There was no proposals there. Ideas came from both groups there, primarily from Cruz and Toomey over issues to mitigate RIN prices. They are alleging that the RIN prices are contributing to the job loss in refineries, and the president listened. But that's why he wanted to hear more from the corn growers and invited them to the White House tomorrow to let him hear directly from them. Regarding the food harvest boxes, I haven't had a direct conversation with Senator Roberts, but I think we ought to be in the role of looking for any kind of innovative ideas that help us to feed our poorest Americans in a way with a wholesome and healthy, stable food supply while allowing them to have 50% of their EBT cards to purchase the things of their choice. Nobody expected this harvest box idea to be universally from the beginning. It's something that we ought to investigate. I liken it, frankly, to the same response that Fred Smith with FedEx got when he wrote his paper in college and got an F on it about home delivery through FedEx. And so these are things that we need to think innovatively about. That's what this administration is about, thinking, maybe in this case, inside the box. Did you get that? Yes.
Secretary, could you elaborate a bit? You mentioned about the foregoing farmers from Sam's and Dunn number, the identification number. What's the plan as you move forward?
Yes, we have to get OMB approval to do that. We're working hard on that right now, convincing them that this Sam's and Dunn's regulation was not meant for, as I said, Fred Farmer out here on the field. It was a accounting, calculation, accountability tool for major defense contractors, major contractors with the United States government. This is a tool that doesn't need to be used in agriculture, and we'll ask for its removal. Yes, sir.
Roger Ward, WLDS in Jacksonville, Illinois. You mentioned NAFTA. We know that we support NAFTA, agriculture supports NAFTA. Within the administration and the cabinet, what's the balance between those who support and those who might like to see it go away?
You'll be, I think, amazingly proud and surprised. There's a lot of support for NAFTA within the administration. The president came out of the campaign thinking from his political rallies that no one in America supported NAFTA. He's since heard loud and clearly from members of Congress, governors, as well as the agricultural community, and me on an ongoing basis, how important NAFTA is and trade is to the American farmer and producer. He views himself, frankly, he comes out of the real estate market in New York, and where he is a tough negotiator. He is convinced that he's always gotten the best deals when he's been willing to do away with the deal. And that's the way he's built his business. That's his personality. That's his business operation. And he is convinced that he could get a better deal if we withdrew from NAFTA. We are, and many of us are, not just me, but many in the administration are working feverishly on an ongoing basis to persuade him that we're going to be able to get a good deal with NAFTA while we maintain it.
Mr. Secretary, Spencer Chase with AgriPulse. There's been some criticisms of the level of support that you've offered for the RFS, saying that you're pushing for the RINs cap and questioning why corn farmers care about RINs. So I guess my question for you is, what do you say to criticisms that say your support of the RFS has not been adequate, given your position?
Well, it may come from articles like you. Did you write the one where the source in the White House? Was that you?
I did write an article today. I don't believe
Well,
it's so.
it's inaccurate, and I'd be happy to discuss the inaccuracies with you directly.
No, he didn't.
Pardon?
No, he didn't write it. No, sir, he didn't write it if it's inaccurate.
Well, I guess that's fake news, then, right? Not inaccurate, just fake. My support of the RFS has been unequivocal. I don't know how I can say any more clearly. The fact that I will not support any policies that reduce the demand for ethanol and biofuels less than where we have it currently. My goal is to grow it by eliminating the waiver on RVP, where we can build up a culture of 15% ethanol for the future. I'm well aware of this law and these mandates of levels go out in 2022. I think we ought to be smart in agriculture, understanding how we can build for the future rather than depending on a law that will expire. How do we build demand? How do we create demand? One of the ways is to get the 15% waiver on RVP out, and to do that. Those are my two fundamental halves, and I will not back up from anything of that. The conversation about RINs, I've had direct conversations trying to understand why corn farmers would think they're going to benefit from high RIN prices in a way where I know where that RIN dollar's going and who's generating it. We're looking for things to build demand in that way. I think some people have confused RIN prices with demand. I don't see it that way. I'm meeting with the leadership of the associations tomorrow, and I'm an open book about being educated on that, but I fail to understand how the collaboration or the connection between RIN prices and demand and RVO volume may work together. But that may be part of the confusion. Yes, sir.
Mr. Secretary, I try to redeem myself. I'm Ken Root from the Iowa Agricultural Radio Network. And there's quite a buzz going on right now among farmers who sell to co-ops and think they're going to get a sizable tax break through the new tax code versus selling to a corporation. And the hope, if they do so, that even if it's changed retroactively, it's not going to be changed. Do you give any advice here on whether or not that could come to pass?
Your friend Jake Redmond wouldn't like that, would he? This is, again, as I mentioned this morning, one of those unintended consequences of putting together a a huge tax package in a way that some language got in that went way beyond where the intention was. I think Senator Hoven and Senator Thune wanted to have language in there to preserve the 199 advantages or the provisions that co-ops had enjoyed prior to the tax bill, and that's what their goal was. What they did was move the meter far there that gave a disparate difference, discriminatory difference between independents and co-ops. They're working feverishly. I thought they were close to a deal prior to the Balanced Budget Act that came up. They're still continuing to work. They do believe this last week there will be opportunities to get that fix in that way. I would advise co-ops and members of co-ops not to spike the ball on this thing thinking that, because frankly, if this provision is laid into every farmer in America would be a member or former co-op of 1 or 2 or 3 members, and I think the American public would figure that out pretty quickly, as well as CBO would figure that out pretty quickly, what that would do to the tax balance revenue income. So we want a fair proposal that will restore the previous benefits of 199 for co-op patrons, but not to put one type of business at odds or at disadvantage to another. They're working really. The National Grain Feed, the national co-op groups have all been working very hard. They've got tax